Hello, welcome back to the video. Before we start, if you could like and subscribe, there's a little digital button at the corner of the YouTube video now. It saves me drawing the like and subscribe button on here, but I need you to test it out to see if it actually works. Not now that I don't need to draw, I can put much more fantastic information in here for you to learn. But if you could like and subscribe, that would be brilliant. Onto the maintenance, this sort of weight management. I was only intending on doing 4 videos for weight management, but I'm actually going to do 6 now. And I'm going to add to one being weight fluctuations, and also the next one after that is going to be about, keep talking about this dynamic equation. I'm going to try and break it down a little bit more because I think these two extra videos is information I've skipped over that I think is good to understand and good to know. So that's the plan. Maintenance calories. Before we begin on these points, just to recap the balance of it. So maintenance calories is you basically balancing out the food that you eat against the energy that you burn. So the food that you eat matches the energy that you burn, and that basically maintains your weight. It's technically dynamic because some people are very good at intuitively eating. So that means that they can just go for years without their weight changing, and they'll not have to step on a set of scales or monitor their calories. They're just really good at their weight staying exactly the same. And that could be because somebody on a Saturday would eat a fuckload of food, but then on the Sunday they feel they don't fancy eating. And over the 2 days, their calories just balance out eventually. And then that example can then go for a period of weeks or months. They could eat a fuckload of food for a short space of time, and then no eat after that for a short space of time, and it all just balances out. Probably don't hear it much more now. It's quite a difficult thing to do, but just because of fast food and bakeries and calorie dense foods and stuff like that now, but I guess it still happens. We were really good at it before all these dense calories came in. But onto these points now here. If you've never done, maintenance calories are a very good place to start. If you've never done anything like this before and you want to get your weight under control, just finding out your maintenance calories is a very good place to start, and I'll help you figure that out at the bottom here. And if you feel like your weight's getting out of control, regardless of what way it's going, just finding your maintenance calories is a very good place to start. It's also a very good place to finish. So if you've been dieting for the next 4, 8, 12 weeks, whatever, and you've finished, bring your calories back up to maintenance, and just sitting there having a breather and figuring out what to do next is a good place to finish. Same with surplus. If you've been eating for 6 months in a calorie surplus for 6 months, trying to build muscle, you're tired of it, you're bored, you're getting tired of it. People can, I'm not saying get bored of eating too much, but they can find it difficult to eat a lot of food for that long of a period. So come back down to maintenance, having a breather, figuring out what to do next is a very good place to come back to. So I used to hate being I'll talk about being in a maintenance. I used to hate being in one, but anyway, we'll come back to that in a minute. We'll skip over this realistic calorie bit because I'm going to come back to that down here. So I read a book by Lane Norton, and hopefully I'm not going to butcher this, but it was also on a podcast as well, but I'm sure he talked about a maintenance phase, or your maintenance calories being a buffer. So if you have a maintenance calories like 2200 calories, you have a buffer zone of maybe like 100 calories each side of that. So your maintenance calories would technically be between 2100 and 2300. And the reason for that is your maintenance calories aren't 100% a specific number just because of the things that you do on a daily basis. You know, you fidgeting a bit more, moving your hands, taking a little bit more steps than what you would usually do, would then change these numbers. So it'd be in a buffer zone, roughly. And then if you wanted to change into a deficit or into a surplus, you'd have to change your calories by a decent amount. And when I say a decent amount, maybe by about 10%. So if your calories were 2200, you would drop them by 10% and then eat around 1900. And if you wanted to be in a surplus, you would increase them by about 10%. These are all just rough numbers, obviously, because things can change this because they're dynamic. But for the most part, if you're sticking in these ballpark figures, you're doing pretty well. The small margins here that I wanted to mention as well is if you notice these numbers, there isn't actually much between them. So if you were in 1900 calories and you had a chocolate bar, you'd then be in your maintenance phase. If you had another chocolate bar on top of that, or a packet of crisps, or an extra scoop of ice cream, or some extra chips or that, you could then be in a surplus. That just shows how small a margin it is. And I don't think this is really short. Like, I'm not saying nobody knows that, but I think people completely misunderstand how close they are in each phase. And I just wanted to add a little bit thing in there as well. Everybody's maintenance is different. So I'm quite tall, quite active, take my dog out, go to the gym. So my calories are predicted 2,500 calories. If you're a short arse, your calories have got to be substantially smaller than that. It's just the cards were dealt with. Like, you can say this is unfair and things like that, but shit happens. You can't really change the biology in your bones and how you were born. So again, kind of have to suck it up. Anyway, as I mentioned before, being in maintenance, I thought being in maintenance was about as comfortable as pissing myself or shitting myself, whatever's the worst. I hated being in maintenance phase because I felt like I wasn't doing anything substantial with my weight. Meaning, if I wasn't in a surplus, I wasn't trying to build muscle. If I wasn't in a deficit, I wasn't trying to then lose fat to then build muscle. Like, it was a bit of a mind fuck for me. And I think there was negatives in that, me not embracing being in a maintenance phase, because it helps with like sorting out like hunger and things like that. When I say sorting out hunger, like, if I went immediately from a deficit straight into a surplus, I would then think it's all right to eat a bit more calories than what I should be, because I was a bit more hungry and I was just gaining weight anyway. And I never fucked up substantially, but there was periods where I was probably spinning my wheels. But anyway, I've learnt from that. But yeah, maintenance may be hard for some. That's my point I'm trying to make. But it also might be one of the best things for people. So what might be an achievement for some might just be normal for others. So again, it might be hard and uncomfortable for some, but it may be an achievement for others. So different strokes for different folks, you know. I think part of the reason, this is just my point of view, obviously, but I watch quite a lot of like cooking stuff on YouTube and Instagram and things like that. And I think it can be, and with all these eating challenges and stuff, I think maintenance calories can be, people think they can eat more than what they should be. And again, I think watching cooking stuff online and watching eating challenges and watching this is what I eat in a day can make you think you should be eating more when you kind of shouldn't. To come back to this point is, if your average calories is 2,000 calories a day, that's technically only 3 Big Macs, and that's not even including like the chips on the side or the extra burger that you order. So my point I'm trying to trying to show here is 2,000 calories isn't actually, it can not be a lot of food if you keep picking all these dense foods, but if you start choosing the correct foods, it can actually be a decent amount of food and quite healthy for you. But when you go online and you watch these people from America and they cook, every recipe they start with a bit of sticky butter or a spoonful of cream cheese or sour cream. I'm like, it gives me like anxiety looking at it. I'm like, look at the fucking calories in that. Then they chuck a fuckload of cheese in that and stuff in it. But anyway, the point here is, I think watching other people eat, especially when it's to do with like clickbait and content and things like that, it can make you think, oh, I should be eating a little bit more food, or I can eat a little bit more food when you technically shouldn't. This is my syringe full of steroids. I don't even know if steroids are red. I'm not on steroids, just in case you were wondering. Isn't he? But you watch these bodybuilders and you think, oh my God, they're eating a fuckload of food. They're eating 4,000 calories a day just to maintain their weight. I should be on that when you shouldn't. Again, I think the internet's kind of skewed how much food we should actually be eating, but that's just my opinion. And again, we think we can eat more than what we should be. Every morning I have a shake in the morning and a shake at night. I wouldn't count them as meals, but realistically, that's the kind. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying follow what I do, but realistically, for somebody who's on 2,500 calories, I've had 2 shakes for fuck knows how long in my life. But that's just a bit of an insight into what I would do on a daily basis, rather than watching cook all these chefs cook all these decadent meals and think you should be eating them on a daily basis. Last point to kind of wrap up on is, I'm not trying to advocate that you gain weight, but what I'd also like to say is try and enjoy yourself. So what I'm trying to say is gaining's not too big an issue if you know how to lose it. But if you're not very good at losing it, then I think you need to be a bit more strict in your life. But my point here about maintenance is gaining's not too big an issue, because I think in life you should be enjoying weddings, parties, nights out, family gatherings and shit like that. But I'm only saying that on a caveat that you know how to lose weight sustainably. But if you carry on watching these videos, you should learn how to do that. Learn how to do that. Tips here. If you're in a panic with your weight, just go back to maintenance. If things are not going the way that you want, if you're trying to lose weight and you're not doing it, just go back to maintenance. Figure out what you're going to do, and then maybe try again. Try and work out what went wrong. If you're gaining too quickly, come back down to maintenance. Reassess. Go back to it. If you've never done this before, start on maintenance. Figure out what it is, what your maintenance is, and then start again. Your maintenance will change. So if you just for example say you lose 20 kilos, your maintenance calories will adjust because of that, because you'll be carrying about less weight and all that sort of stuff. So it's not a number that stays the same. It will only change drastically. You know, people say that it'll change weight and you'll increase your calories by 500-600 calories. It's unlikely going to be that amount, but it will change slightly. And also, just to reiterate that everybody's maintenance calories will be different. So how do you find your maintenance calories? I found this on Renaissance Periodization, which is a very good YouTube channel. So I'll give them the love that they deserve. But if you times your body weight in pounds by 15, you'd get your calories. So I times my body weight in pounds, 165 pounds by 15, and I got 2,500 calories basically. How do you find out your body weight in pounds if you're in the UK? Is you times your body weight in kilograms by 2.2, and that'll equal your pounds. So again, mine's is 2,500, but I would think mine's has got increased slightly because I walk my dog and I go to the gym and things like that. So last point is, if you are trying, I've repeated this in the last one, but if you're trying to maintain your weight, create yourself a small buffer zone. So if you're 70 kilos, your buffer zone would be 70.5 kilos, between 70.5 kilos and 69.5 kilos. If you start falling outside those numbers, then you start adjusting, you start figuring out, right, I need to reduce this or increase this, blah, blah, blah. Creating yourself a buffer zone gives you less pressure standing on the scales, because 500 kilos and technically a kilogram isn't actually that much weight. It's not something you really got to notice. I think I'm done there. I've done this video about 10 times because everything kept fucking up, but hopefully I got my point across and I don't need to do this again. I will see you in the next video about weight manipulation, I think. Thanks for watching.